Hi, and welcome to Grim Year Wednesdays. My name's Judy, and I run Quiet Year Records. This is a collaborative effort between me, Grimalkin Records, and rumblepak, where we're talking to some interesting artists and people doing interesting things and listening to some cool music. So thanks for being here. Just want to give an immediate shout out to Virginia Anti-Violence Project, who are fundraising for every week and every day of life. They do a lot of great work for survivors across the state of Virginia, particularly in the LGBTQIA plus communities and communities of color. They mean a lot to me and Grim personally, and so we really hope that you'll check out their website and donate. I'm gonna go ahead and put in the chat room, virginiaavp.org. They're really wonderful and a great resource for pretty much everybody. There's definitely something for everybody to get out of, or there's definitely something for everybody there because everybody is around people who have been hurt or hurt people. So it's good stuff. Yeah, that being said, there is a chat room if you want to ask questions or include links and things like that. That kind of stuff is really helpful. So thank you for being here. Today we're going to talk with Kendra and Kate from Kate Can't Wait. And let's do this. Hi, Kendra. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. I just ate some food, so I'm nice and full.
Nice. What'd you eat?
This place called Cilantro. It's Korean barbecue, and I had some chicken wings. So yeah, feeling good, nice and stuffed.
Nice. You know I'm Korean, right?
Oh yeah. What's up?
So anytime anyone mentions Korean anything, I'm like, sorry, I can't help it. It's just kind of like a deep rooted thing that I can't
No, that's
not
fair. Go ahead, do
do.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, I was listening to your music earlier today and actually munching on Korean food. So that is actually like a really cute little turnaround there. But yeah, what have you been up to lately?
Um, so today I did a lot of painting. I woke up and it was storming, so it was like really nice. So just been painting like all day. I've like just been painting on some clothes, like some canvas bags and jeans and stuff. That's been fun. Aside from that, just been, roller skating, working on my EP. Yeah, loving life.
Living large.
Yeah, out here.
That sounds really nice. I saw one of the things that you painted, I think on your Instagram or something. But I remember it actually had to do with like skating and painting and also corniness, which I love. I can't remember what it said. Why hate when no.
Oh, stop hating, start skating.
Yes, that is so good.
Yeah, I
Um,
thought of that the other day. I was like, oh my God, I gotta put that on something.
no, I love that. It's a mantra,
Yeah,
definitely.
right.
Do you like to paint like or what kind of painting do you do, I guess? I don't know anything about that.
Well, I mostly do like acrylic painting, but I prefer oil. Oil is just like expensive and it takes really long time. But I just am kind of I just moved, so I have a lot of boxes and just random cardboard. So I'm just trying to paint on all of that. And yeah, I don't know. I just basically paint whatever. I like portraits, I guess.
What do you find yourself gravitating most towards, like when you're coming up with new ideas for paintings?
Um, I guess I love faces and I just love different expressions and like just different textures of faces. And so that's normally what I'll gravitate towards doing. Just like I just like love interesting features like noses and mouths and teeth and stuff like that. So I'm just very inspired by faces, I guess.
That's really neat. I can actually see that coming out from the music video that you have for Grass Stains with Blumoon. I thought, I mean, I love watching that music video. It's so beautiful, like the colors and the different like slow motion and reverse thing. I mean, I think there's just so many beautiful dynamic things about it. And one of the main, I think like features of the music video is like highlighting people's features and their faces, where there's where there's shots of people smiling or looking at the mirror. I thought that was really beautiful.
Mhm.
Would you want to elaborate a little bit more on um, the music video and how you came up with the idea for that?
Yeah, sure. So that was like a joint effort with my friend Beta, who we've been friends since like middle school, and she makes films, and she's like, "Hey, let's get together and like put two songs together and make like a little whatever." And basically, it's just like how I guess like about coming back to yourself in a way. Yeah, I just feel like, we always get lost in the sauce, if you will, of just life and like all the stuff going on that we kind of forget why we started anything in the first place, or why what we really wanted in the first place. And so I guess just with the reversing on all of that, it's kind of just just symbolic of this was once something that like changed, and in an idea like you don't necessarily get to go back in time and just redo it. So it's just like highlighting just that idea, of just like being where you started.
No, that's really beautiful. Yeah, no, I really love that. I mean, I think the question of like, why do you do things? What do you want? Those are really big questions. And I mean, there's so much like amazing art and music out there about that. But then when it comes down to it, like on a personal level, it's just
Hmm.
like, how do you even answer that, other than
Yeah,
like
yeah.
endless outpours of just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I definitely think that an aspect of your music that I like is a lot of themes of like declarations and questions kind of going back and forth of like exactly that. Like, what do you aspire for? What do you want? Who are you? What do you bring
Hmm.
forth? And I think those are really powerful themes that I've noticed throughout your works. And now progressing into the hellscape that is 2020, do you see certain themes coming, or I guess emerging more lately?
um I definitely will say I have, just with because at the very beginning of this, it was so scary and so shocking, and nobody knew like what was going on. And so really just the fear of like death was like really looming over me. Like I'm diabetic, and so I just felt like extra at risk, and I'm like the possibility of me dying or anyone around me dying is just very there. And so I just feel like lately I've just been really just realizing that our days are numbered, and that it's just kind of motivating me more to just take advantage of the things that I have wanted to do, and like live the life that I want to live while I am alive and able to live that and am healthy. Um, so yeah, I've just been like, with all of this, have been just thinking way more than I ever thought I would about all of these different things. It's just like, crazy.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think on one hand, there's a lot of people who I think have been like, who could have predicted any of this? And then
Hmm.
on, kind of on the flip side of that, there's just like, we knew this was coming. Like, this has been foretold for forever. You saw
Hmm.
the ways that these things have led up to this point. And yeah, there's still no like particular like answers for these things, but rather it's just like, whoa.
Yeah, it's just these different, there's just so much to feel all at once. It's just bananas, like no one, I don't know.
Yeah. I definitely sympathize with the part of like of going through a lot of introspection. I think for myself,
Hmm.
being or having this like such a different like change of pace of life and like different structure for me over the past few months has kind of brought up again like the questions that you're saying of like, what do I want? Who am I? What do I want to contribute? And those things are really important. Um, but yeah, how do you feel about, I guess, could you tell us about maybe how your goals or insights have changed since what, March?
Yeah, well, so I was booking a tour, probably like the best tour that I've ever put together myself, and I was really excited for that. And that got canceled, and of course, a lot of other things that we were really excited for got canceled too. And it kind of just gave me like no other option but to just focus on what I love the most about, all of this. And it's just, making music and like singing and doing all of that. And so I guess if anything, it just made me go back into like, just what I love the most about everything and just really honing in on my craft, I guess, and um, just creating. And so I feel like I don't know, I just put a different emphasis on what I am making than I guess I was before. I guess I kind of just took it for granted, but now it's like what I have.
Mhm. Yeah. And I definitely think an interesting part of the social isolation aspects of living in this pandemic has been how artists have been affected in exactly how the music production part and like songwriting happens. And so I think a very clear example of that would be you entering into a solo project and being able to do all your own production and songwriting. Um,
Mm-hmm.
on your own. I think that's really, I mean, like one way to just like very easily adapt to everything. But also, I mean, that's also like a deliberate decision on your part as well. Do you think you could tell us a little bit about your decision to go from performing as a full band as Blumoon to your solo project as Kendra?
Yeah. Well, so I guess before all of this, I would do solo performances as like Blue Moon solo. And it was all songs that I wrote that I intended on sharing with the band and making, band songs. And I guess like I'm not moving away from the band. I guess I'm just like really diving into my solo thing. But sorry. I don't know. It's just been bands or other projects where like my sound was given to me and I was told like, hey, this is what I have and you do your thing on it. And so yeah, just like really having the control to just express myself and explore what is in myself and all of these things. I just feel like it's been very necessary and needed. And so yeah, I'm just like really excited to just like do this thing that's always needed to be done.
For sure. I love how you said that. It needed to be done, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean I mean there's like so many different ways to express yourself, so that's really really cool to hear that maybe things aren't fully cut off from Blumen. I don't know, we'll see how that goes. But I am very excited about the EP that you've been working on. I'm not going to give any spoilers, but it's really good. Um
Thank you.
how has that been writing all these new songs? Well, I guess I don't know if they're all new, but could you tell us a little bit about your thoughts behind the new EP coming up?
Yeah. Well, some of them are songs I've had for a while that were just on guitar. And I like recently got Ableton and I just get to put all these different textures and sounds on them. So it's a lot of fun. And then a few of them were just, me just getting to know the program and kind of just like going from there. Some of them are just like kind of, what is it, improv. And then I would just go back and kind of like, pick and choose what I liked from that and go from there. But yeah, I don't know. It just feels very like freeform, just kind of like finger painting almost.
So it sounds like it's rather, or it sounds it's like a more, for lack of a better term, like holistic process where you're kind of engaging in like every single aspect of it, including like every single part of production, vocal, songwriting, even like picking out the art and things like that. um
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think that's like a really boss move, honestly, because you're just like, like you said, had to be done.
Yeah, I've just been like doing a lot of that work for the band. So it's just like to do it for myself feels just more right, I guess, you know?
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I'm really excited to see full blown Kendra in all of your glory. Well, as much
Oh,
as I
thank
can
you.
from here, but
Yeah.
yeah, and maybe when touring again happens in like 2045 or something, that'll be fun to see.
Yeah.
That being said, so I've got a couple more questions for you.
Okay.
So the first one is, um, what would you like to see in the future? And this doesn't have to be rooted in reality or based on or like anything related to your music, just anything that you want.
Anything. You know, I guess I've been thinking about that, and I just want to see, like, I guess just like total liberation of like people, you know, not even just like of marginalized groups, you know, obviously for them first and foremost, but just for everyone. Like, I just feel like there's so many different like restraints on people and just in society, you know, and it just sucks, like things that we put on ourselves, things that society puts on us. And I just want to see like us just reject that, you know, in whatever way. And that's just like what I would like to see in the future. Just freedom.
And I definitely think I appreciate the language that you use for that too, because I think that like there's lots of different ways to think about the future and like what we want. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I think when people say like to be free, that means like so many different things, but I don't know. It's a big question. So I don't know. I just think that was really nice. I'm just kind of ruminating on that.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
know.
And also like I think that I've been thinking a lot about like people are like, oh yeah, like I think there's some people who are like, yeah, we want equality for people versus people who are like, oh, I want liberation or transformation or I don't know, reformation,
Yeah.
things like that. Yeah, there's different kinds of
Mm-hmm.
words in that. And so I feel like that has been a really interesting part of like hearing about what people want from the future is just like I think even just like the words that people use to describe that says a lot. And so
Yeah.
yeah, like liberation and freedom, like that's sick. I don't want the same stuff, you know, like I don't want reformation from the same old from this. And so I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just really nice. So thank you for saying
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, of course. You know, like there's so much control out there, and it's like, what if it didn't have to be that way? But who knows?
I guess we do. On that vein, how can we support you right now?
um, you know, I'm trying to get my Depop rolling, start selling some clothes on there. And my paintings and stuff like that. So I guess like soon I'll have like an art page up and just art for sale. Other than that, I feel like supporting yourself makes me feel supported because then I feel like, you know, just things are well out there. So then that just gives me peace of mind. So um, eat breakfast, Judy. Um, yeah, just like taking care of yourself, you know.
I appreciate that. I will say though that
Yeah.
breakfast is whatever the first meal of the day is.
Yes, that is
It doesn't
true.
it doesn't matter what time. It just just you know, as long as we're on the same page about that, then yes, I will do that for you.
Thank you.
Of course. Is there anything else that you would like the world to know?
You know, I don't know. I don't know.
That's okay.
Yeah.
If anything, we'll ask. You know, it's just
Okay,
like,
yeah.
Kendra, tell us more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being on the show and for
Of
talking about
course.
so much stuff. And for dealing with my computer freezing a lot. So a lot of
Oh
this
no, you're
is
fine.
looking at very funny stills, but you know, hearing the great things that you have to say is just yeah, it's still really great. So thank you so much for being here and for making such beautiful music that I'm sure we will
Yeah,
all
of
be able to
course.
enjoy soon. Um, just as a little segue here, you're watching Grim Wednesdays. My name's Judy and I run Quiet Year Records. This is a collaborative effort with Grimalkin Records and rumblepak. And please, 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 if you feel so inclined to do something nice, please donate to Virginia Anti-Violence Project. I put their website in the chat room and it'll be posted everywhere. They do a lot of really great work for LGBTQIA plus survivors across Virginia. And I think they're a part of a better future. So I really would love to see more support towards them. And we're gonna head over to Puerto Rico, where Kate from Kate Can't Wait is here. Hi, Kate.
Howdy. Hello.
You're gonna do a little performance for us, I think, right?
It would seem so.
Alrighty, well, whenever you're ready, please take it away.
Okay, so for my first song, I'm going to play a song that's actually, it's mine, but it's not a Kate Can Wait song. It's a song that I wrote 7-ish years ago. It's called Holy Spaces. But if you would like to listen to it, you can find it if you buy the cassette version of my last album, Veraniegas, on Grimalkin Records. It's like a secret hidden track. Anyway, here's Wonderwall. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. She saved me from myself. She saved me from my eyes. Naked like spectre. Darkness no longer rotate. Yeah. Thank you. That was Holy Spaces. Okay. This next song is from my first album with Grimalkin Records. It's called Below the Sea. And it goes a little bit like this. Orange glow, relax in the sky. A guilty fledgling meant to die. Oh, my senses. I'm not really happy, but I guess this will suffice. Affairs of the heart, they lead to strife, and all my senses, a choir of anguish conquers me. Day after day I hope to be married, 7 leagues below the sea. Below the sea, I box all my emotions and store them in the corner. Between numbness and joy, I tend to prefer the former. Enjoy these moments, fire of anguish conquers me. Day after day I hope to be buried, 7 weeks and below the sea. In the autumn of my life, I'm meant to fall. If I go, I'll never come back, this I swear. A choir of anguish conquers me. Day after day I hope to be made, 7 leagues below the sea. Below the sea, below the sea. If I go, I'll never come back, this I swear. Thank you. This next song is also from my first album of Grimalkin, How Are You? The song is for my good friend Mick, who nicely requested this. It's called Lady Hydrangea. I miss you so much, chasm in your heart. Please don't go, lady hydrangea, and I'll lead you home to kiss you farewell. Growing out my pathway, darkness and love. Dusk embraces us, hydrangea. My world revolved around you, lady hydrangea, and I lead you home to heaven. Corona guides my pathway to darkness and love. To all I love, I board the plane wearing gloves for the first time. I thought it would be easier Chicago stops me in my tracks, exhaustion in my veins. I won't make it there tonight. I sleep on the floor of the LA airport. I remember visions of Gideon had me shedding tears on the drive home. That's when I noticed this whole saying goodbye thing is way harder than I've ever imagined. Ooh. I land at last, the emerald city's ashes sky, the way I cling to the warmness of the heater, surrounded by people covered in winter clothes. I walk to the subway, there's some barbecue sauce in the store. I'll get some Chipotle, I guess. I remember visions of Gideon had me shedding tears on the drive home. That's when I noticed this whole saying goodbye thing is way harder than I've ever imagined. I'm in my room, shafts of sunlight illuminate my sunken eyes as I ponder what I've done. This is what I've always, all I've ever wanted. This place is heaven, but why does it not feel like home? The song is called Vestido from How Youth. Siento calor debajo de tu vestido y veneno en tus labios. Ardor y dolor te hacen uno. Ay, mi amor, me despido. Yo no entiendo qué hay que hacer en las manos del placer. Yo me sé camino a tu casa, pero no me sé el mío. En la tarde de la noche resplandecen mis vivencias. Vivo del brillo de tus ojos y el espanto de los míos. Yo no entiendo qué hay que hacer en las manos del placer. Yo me sé camino a tu casa, pero no me sé el mío. Yo no entiendo qué hay que hacer en las manos del placer. Yo me sé camino a tu casa, pero no me sé el mío. Pero no me sé el mío.
Wow, that was just really nice. Thank you so much.
Uh,
So, how's your day been?
We had 2 power outages today, as is extremely common. It seems like we have one a week nowadays. I was very afraid the power wouldn't come back. I've also spent most of the day tinkering with music gear or looking into music gear online. Because it's a pandemic and there's nothing better to do than to develop your hobby.
Yeah,
And that's pretty much been my day.
that sounds like a really
A
nice
lot of
day.
a lot of reading and waiting.
It goes along well with like a lot of I think of what other people have been experiencing as well. I was gonna say I'm in America, and so it's like different than Puerto Rico, but I feel like I don't know. I don't really. I'm gonna take
It's
my foot out of my
a
mouth right
lot.
now.
It's a
What do you
lot
do?
similar. It's a lot similar than you would imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been a U.S. colony for 100 years now, so uh, a lot of people come here expecting it to be very different, and
Mhm.
they're just like so disappointed when it's basically like island U.S.
Mm.
I mean, we have malls.
Well,
We we have a big capitalist consumer culture.
well, yeah.
We mostly have the same stuff y'all do. Uh, but it is like there is this weird divide, I suppose, since like we speak Spanish, but even then, like most people speak English here.
Mhm.
Uh, I'm not a big fan of being a U.S. colony for 100 years. That's something I'm very passionate about. I wish I wish I could write music about it, but it always comes off so forced to me. I'm not good at protest songs. All I'm good about are like I'm so sad songs.
I mean,
Uh,
that's real. I can kind of,
yeah,
I can empathize with that. I mean, I think that's why, honestly, that was me having my foot in my mouth. Because yeah, I think talking about like U.S. territories feels weird for me because I'm just like, no, that's like its own thing. Because Korea is kind of like that too, where America or like in Korea, pretty much imperialized by America for like a decade-ish, and then before that was like Japan. But I don't know. That's kind of why I like stumble over like, do I call
yeah,
like
I
Puerto
get
Rico
it.
part of America? I don't know. But I do emphasize or empathize with the part about not being good at writing protest songs. I don't do that either. Despite having like
Like
strong feelings about these things, you know?
uh, like last summer, I don't know if you remember or if you heard, like last summer we had huge protests and we ousted our governor.
Yeah.
Still feels really good to say that.
Hmm.
Uh, and it was like peak protest moment. I've never felt so patriotic in my entire life, and I still have all these field recordings from the protest, and I was like, I should include these in a song, but it's like there is no appropriate place to include them because none of my songs are very much about protesting.
I mean, there's lots of different ways to protest, and not necessarily
Yeah,
just being out there with like a sign or things like that. I mean, I think that um like songs that reflect like your reality that could and just like asserting that is like a form of protest in like one little way, but I don't know.
I see what you mean. I
Yeah.
mean, what better protest than to like sing out loud to the people who don't want you to exist, to yell, I exist and I'm here, and there are people listening to me say that I exist.
Hmm.
Uh, I, that's kind of like what I was thinking when Kendra mentioned earlier about the whole like liberation thing.
Hmm.
Uh, like art is of course our main method of liberation, but if some of that could seep into the real world, that
Hmm.
would be great.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, at least for myself, drawing the line between like art and real life. is really difficult. And so that also kind of going along
Yeah.
with like, what is a protest song? What isn't a protest song? Like, what feels like a
Yeah.
protest to you versus, what could feel like a protest to somebody else. I mean, I don't have answers for those things. I think those are just really interesting things to think about.
Yeah, that is true. I don't really have a benchmark protest song like that pops in my mind. I just imagine like the auditory form of somebody with a picket sign just saying like listen to me. I mean, I suppose like I don't know, the Night Watchman, that weird Tom Morello folk project is kind of protesty, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that also begs the question, like, what are you protesting? Like, what are you for? What are you against? And like when it's like something as, I don't know if basic is the wrong word for it, but like something as like fundamental as just existing. Yeah, then like everything becomes a protest, because people want to kill you like actively and whatnot. And so to like thrive and be
Yeah.
happy in that, or even just like find calm, I think that's pretty revolutionary.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, do you find that there's any songs that stick out to you as like anthems?
So this is a very weird example, but as you were saying that, the first song that popped into my mind, it's also a very specific example. It's 4th of July by Sufjan Stevens, but it's the live version that he plays in Carrie and Lowell live. The entire song is basically him mourning his mother's death, a woman who he did not have a close relationship to, but like he desperately wanted to. And the chorus of the song is like, "We're all going to die." But in the live version, after the last "We're all going to die," there's this really great like music jam, and then when it ends, he yells, "But I'm still alive." And every time I hear that, it hits me so strongly. Like it's such a declaration. Like this is the worst thing I've ever gone through in my entire life, and it brought back every negative thing I hate about myself. But I'm still alive. And sometimes I think surviving surviving is enough to be like I guess a protest. Like I'm still here. Like you couldn't get rid of me, I suppose. Even if it's, I suppose, even if like what you're protesting is like your own depression or something, it's still like a statement to make. So it's a weird song to consider like anthemic, but it's what immediately popped into my mind.
I don't think that's weird. I mean, literally when you were describing that, I got like chills. I also wanted to shout out that Grim said in the chat room that old folk songs and a lot of that stuff is protest songs, and that your music, Kate, is on the folk side and wouldn't be a stretch. Yeah. That's actually
I
something that I
suppose.
really love about your music. Is I was listening through your discography, and there is like I did hear a lot of like folk influences, but then also you kind of went into like ambient and like field recording stuff too, and like kind of more experimental stuff. And I thought it was really interesting that like you're able to like weave those things together, both like on like separate albums, but then also kind of within each work too. There's like lots of different layers going into that. Would you be able to tell us a little bit about your thoughts and ideas behind how you do those kinds of projects?
Sure. So before Kate Can Wait, I pretty much did ambient music exclusively for I think like 8 years, like from 2010 to 2018, I think. I did dabble in other things. I also made a whole bunch of like noise songs and some like, instrumental hip hop stuff, but it was always ambient. I don't know why I ended up making that. I think it's because a large part of what got me interested in music growing up was like video game music, and most of it is instrumental. So I ended up gravitating towards that. Uh, So whenever I do something like that now, it's kind of me trying to recapture my glory days when I was very prolific and full of ideas. Uh, because I made so much music back then. I remember I would just get an idea and instantly go work on it, and I'd have like a finished song that I was proud of in no time. And it's not that it's like it is still that way now. Uh, but I guess the inspiration comes from a different place. It doesn't feel the same way it did way back when, I suppose. Uh, but at the same time, whenever I make music, I always try to keep in mind like what do I like when I'm listening to an album, and I usually enjoy variety in the songs. Uh, I know it's very little details, but I always consider like, okay, this song begins like with me strumming three chords. So the next one shouldn't begin with me strumming three chords, even if it's totally different because it's repetitive. Uh, Maybe the next one can start with me like finger picking, or maybe the next one shouldn't have as many background vocals, so it can be a breather from the one that people listened to before. I always analyze and overanalyze a lot of little details because I want my music to be like a very comfortable listening experience. And sometimes I think I just like to include throwbacks to my old ambient projects, or just, I still love ambient soundscapes, and I think they're very like relaxing. So I think including those sometimes is also like a little bit of a breather from all the other stuff going on.
I think also you brought up the idea of soundscapes, and I think that is a really interesting way um, of production. In that, I mean, when you're doing ambient music, I think that is I feel like that's kind of a given. It's like a soundscape of, there's lots
Yeah.
of different components going on that create a larger body of work. But I also kind of hear that like throughout an entire album that could even be like, more on the folksy side too, where it ends up being more of a soundscape, particularly because I think your music has, it sounds like it's intentional that the songs have those interactions and relationships with each other. And so you're supposed to, like, it feels like to me that it should be that I consume it all together as one, because they'll all, like, it's part of a greater experience.
You're totally right. I mean, I personally, I just really love the album as a concept. I'm not a big fan of singles. Like, I like EPs, but they always leave me wanting more. So I've always said, okay, well, I'm going to do albums because that's what I like to listen to. I don't think about those details that I mentioned earlier specifically when I'm writing the songs. Sometimes I do, especially like later in the songwriting stages, like when I have 8 songs and I'm missing 2. I'm like, okay, what don't I have? But I always have this moment whenever I write a song and I'm like, okay, this is the first song in an album. Like, I guess I'll put like a timer on myself. Like, okay, this song that I wrote right now is definitely going to be in an album that I'm going to be releasing. So everything I write from now on has to flow with this. I don't always manage to achieve it because like my tastes are very eclectic, and sometimes I'll just write something very strange. For example, like in my last album, like there's the song that I played earlier, Somewhere Outside, which is very like, I guess, like somber ballad. And then there's a song Out of Heaven, which is me doing my best goth rock impression. Those two things have nothing to do with each other. But like, if a song is really good, like to me, like if I really enjoy it, I think I'll try to make it fit somewhere in the track listing. But for me, my favorite part of like being a musician is just creating. If it were up to me, I would spend every single day just writing music and releasing it. But sometimes the world has other plans.
Yeah, fuck the rest of the world though. I'm just kidding. No.
Yeah.
But it's really nice to hear how intrinsic it is for you to just be creating and to be capturing the world in those different kinds of ways. I think that's really interesting. And I really appreciate I definitely resonate with the idea of loving albums more so than individual songs, because I think for me it's such a great way to get like an immersed into like an experience as opposed to like, you
Yeah.
know, a couple minutes, but it's like a whole sensory thing, like from, you know, what you see to what you hear, you know, taste, touch, smell, like all of those things, those can all be a part of it. And so I think that's really nice. I do have a couple of more questions for you, if you don't mind. These are
Sure.
the similar questions to what I asked Kendra earlier, actually. So the first one would be, I guess we were actually talking about the future before too, a little bit about just like enjoying, wanting, and seeing liberation and a better future. So on that vein, what would you like to see in the future? And this doesn't have to be related to music or, you know, based in reality or anything, but just anything in general. What would you like to see?
I would like to have one unstressful year. That would be tremendous.
Mhm.
Like a brief tangent, like 2020, not just because of the pandemic. Like I had exactly 5 days of rest this entire year because in January 6th we had a whole bunch of very strong earthquakes,
Mhm.
and like my town is destroyed. I've spent the entire year basically running away from something. So a year where I don't have to run away from something would be nice. Uh, what I would most like to see in the future, to go back to what I said earlier, I would love to see Puerto Rico be independent. Uh, I think that's the thing that I would love to see the most in my entire lifetime, just because it's been like 600 years of colonialism. It would be like the most groundbreaking thing. But I would also have to agree with Kendra. I would just love to see liberation, just see everybody be themselves and be happy and not be hated or persecuted. That would just be the most wonderful thing in the world.
Yeah, definitely. That's lovely. Similar, or I guess, and then more specifically, how can we support you right now?
Uh, you can check out my music on Bandcamp. It's cakeandwait.bandcamp.com. It would be really great. Every time I get an email from Bandcamp that says ka-ching, my heart stops. Uh,
Mhm.
but even just seeing like the streams, like the music that I made before, not I'm not a lot of people listen to it. I'm still kind of in that mindset of literally only 3 people listen to me. So whenever I see like that more than 3 people, it really does warm my heart.
Mhm.
Uh, so I guess like if you listen to my music and you enjoy it, uh, feel free to tell me about it. And if not, I hope it. Uh, I hope it was It was as special for you as it is for me.
Alrighty. Well, my last question for you is pretty open-ended. Um, is there anything you would like to just share with the world or tell the world?
I guess Puerto Rico is a colony of the U.S. Like the U.S. pretends we're a part of it, but it's more like we're at its beck and call. Uh, I mean, I don't want to like get in like just spend my entire time saying like things are bad, but uh, the U.S. news doesn't really cover what happens in Puerto Rico that much. So like, there are still thousands of people who don't have roofs from Hurricane Maria. There are still hundreds of people, probably thousands, who don't have houses because of the earthquakes this year. Uh, and that a lot of people here are with every single person in the U.S. who are fighting against a tyrannical government and fighting for their lives. Like, we get it. Personally, if I could be there every single day, I would. but island life. So I guess what I would share is that regardless of what the media might have you believe, things in Puerto Rico have not gotten better since Hurricane Maria. So I guess keep us in your thoughts. And if you ever see like a reputable charity from here asking for donations and stuff, it would be much appreciated.
For sure. Actually, just wondering, do you have any recommendations on places that you find are like good or effective?
Yeah, True Self Foundation, they provide like medical and psychiatric services to LGBTQIA plus people. They're very good. I personally know a few people who have gotten helped by them.
Mm-hmm.
There aren't many like places in Puerto Rico that I would consider like trustworthy, safe, and helpful, but I do trust them. They're very good.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for the recommendation. I just wanted to make sure that I'm able to add that for people who might want to look it up later. I'm looking at the website.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much for sharing so much about yourself and for playing a really great set. No, seriously, thank you everybody for being here. Thank you all for being here, for hanging out. Just as a little closing, because this is recorded, so for everybody who is watching this in the future, this is Grimier Wednesdays. My name's Judy. You were just listening to Kate from Kate Can't Wait, and Kendra from Blumoon, and also just Kendra. We're raising money for Virginia Anti-Violence Project, who does a lot of great work for LGBTQIA survivors of any kind of violence across Virginia, especially in these trying times. Having a support and community of people who care about you is really important. And so this especially is really wonderful, and thank you all for being here. We're going to be here on Zoom every week, Wednesday at 7:30, talking to some really wonderful people, and hopefully we'll see you there next time. But again, thank you all for tonight. Bye.